Hi there. So recently OpenAI released some updates to their ChatGPT API. And one of the main updates is this function calling in the API. So if you've worked with the ChatGPT API and created some kind of product, you've probably asked it to return the response in JSON format or respond with some specific command. But you've probably noticed that it doesn't quite work as well as you would like it to. You really have to try to coax it into responding in the right manner. But now they have fine-tuned the new models for function calling. So what does that mean? Well, if we go down here, we have some more information about the function calling. So you can describe functions to these two models. So for example, you can define a getCurrentWeather function that takes a location, which is a string, and a unit that is Celsius or Fahrenheit. And then you can implement this function in your actual code, that when you actually call it, it gets the current weather from some API. And since you send this definition to ChatGPT, it can then decide based on the user's prompt to either just respond in a regular way or respond with a function. So it will return with the function name and the parameters the function takes in JSON format. So it's easy to parse. And then when you get that response from ChatGPT, then you can actually run the function on your server and then return the response to ChatGPT. And then the next response from ChatGPT can be based from the output of that function. So here in the documentation in the function calling section, they actually have some example code here. And later we will look at my example code, which is very cool. So here we are defining a function, getCurrentWeather, which in this case just returns the same thing every time. This is just a dummy function. But you could imagine that this would connect to a weather API and then return the weather based on the location and the unit given to this function. And then down here, when we send a message to ChatGPT, we are describing the function here. So we say that, okay, you can use the getCurrentWeather function. And this is the description, get the current weather in given location. And we describe the parameters here. So we have the location, which is a string, and we have a description for it, the city and state, and the unit, which is a string, and it's an enum, Celsius or Fahrenheit. So now when we send a message, what's the weather like in Boston? ChatGPT will then respond with a function call. So in the message that we get from ChatGPT, there will be a function call parameter, and it will contain the name of the function. And then we can call that function in our code. So here we are calling the getCurrentWeather function. And this would then get the actual weather from Boston. And then we send another request to ChatGPT with, again, what's the weather like in Boston? And we append to it the message that we got from ChatGPT, which is basically just the function call. And then we append to that the actual response from the function. And then when we send this message, then ChatGPT will actually respond with the actual weather information from the API. Now, of course, it will just use the details it needs to answer the prompt from the response of the API. It won't just return the direct output from the API. So basically, it will turn the API response into a human-readable answer. Now, this is a pretty nice example, but I think we can do better. So I created this GPT-AutoPilot. So I gave as functions some file system functions. So I defined a write file function that takes the file name and the content to write, and then writes that content to the file. And then I have an append file that just adds to a file. I have a read file that reads a file. And I have a delete file and list files and ask clarification, which just asks for some more information about what you want it to do. And then a project finished function, which it will call when it thinks that the project is done. So these are the actual definitions that actually do something in the Python script. But then we will send the function definitions to ChatGPT in this JSON format. So we have the list files here, which list the current files in the project, and we have read file and write file, and all of the functions that I described earlier in Python are here described for ChatGPT. And then down here we are setting a system message for ChatGPT You are an AI bot that can do anything by writing and reading files from the computer. You have been given specific functions that you can run. Only use those functions and do not respond with the message directly. The user will describe their project to you and you will help them build it. Build the project step by step by calling the provided functions. If you need any clarification, use the Ask Clarifications function. And then this just runs in an infinite loop, and it asks for another function call and then another function call and another function call until it gets the project finished function, and then it will ask, do you want to do something else? And then if you answer yes and you type your new question, then it will run the thing again. So it's like a recursive thing, so you can iterate over your project. So let's see this in action. So let me go here and let me run GPT-AutoPilot. So it will ask me at first, what would you like me to do? So I can say something like, create a simple inventory application in PHP where I can input product names and quantities, and it will add them into a CSV file. So let's send this prompt and see what it does. So first it checks, is there any files in the project directory already? Then it responds, since the project doesn't have any files yet, I will create the main PHP file and CSV file for storing the inventory data. Let's first set up the main PHP file. And then it will actually write to index.php. And then it will say, great, now let's create the inventory.csv file, which will store our inventory data. I'll create an empty CSV file named inventory.csv. And then it says project finished. So let's actually see if this works. And for this, of course, I have to start a PHP server. So let's go to code and let's say PHP-s localhost 8032. And let's go here. And here we have a form, product name and quantity. So let's add here test product and quantity is 50 and submit. Now something happened, but nothing happened on the screen. So let's go back here and let's see the project folder. We have an index.php and an inventory.csv. So let's see, we actually have our product here. But now of course I would like to print them on the website. So let's do that. It asks me, do you want to do something else? Then I answer yes, and I say, can you print the products on the website in a table? And again, we are reading index.php, and we are writing to index.php, and project is finished. So let's go take a look, and if we go here again, now we have actually the product here. But now this looks pretty terrible, so let's ask it to make it prettier. So let's say, can you add some CSS styles to make it look professional? And we are reading index.php again. We are writing to index.php, and that's it. So let's refresh and look at this. We have a very beautiful inventory program here. So let's see if it still works. Another product and 10. And it will be added here. And if we go to our CSV file, it is here as well. So let's do something more. Make the form a table so it looks nicer. Because this looks kind of weird because it is not aligned. So let's see if it can do that. So again, we are reading from index.php. So it checks first what is in there now. Maybe it has changed already. And we are writing to index.php. Let's see what happens. I will go back here. And now we have a form here. It's kind of big, but it's fine. Let's see if it still actually works. So let's do a test and 55, submit, and it still works. That's great. So we can go even further with this. We can say something like, add a heading inventory system to the application. And sure enough, we are writing something to index.php and it is done. So if we go here again, now we have an inventory system heading here. So let's do one more thing. I want to have a price here as well, and then I want to have a total price of all the products. So let's see if we can do them at the same time. 1. Add a price field for the products. 2. Calculate the total price of the products. So let's see if it can do two things at once. So we are reading index.php, we are writing index.php, and we did something. So let's go back here and let's go here again. And we have a price here, and we have a price here, and total price is 0. Of course, because we don't have prices right now. But what if we add priced product and 5 with 100 and submit? Then we have 100 here, and the total is 500 because we have 5 of them. That's great. So in just a few minutes, I have created an inventory system. So now I can just go to the warehouse and input all of my products and quantities and their prices, and then I'll get the total price. And then I can just go and print this. And now we do get this form here when we print. So perhaps we could ask it to not include the form when we print it. Can you make it so that the form is hidden when we print the inventory? And we are done. Let's see if it works. So if I go here again and I print it, then now we don't get the form when we print it. So it works pretty well. Now let me show you some other things that I have created already with this. So if I go to my demos, I have all kinds of things here. So the first thing I created was a snake game. So if I open xdg, open demos snake index.html in the browser, then here we have a snake game that I created using this AutoPilot GPT. So it actually works. Now this didn't work the first time, and actually I don't know what happened there. Oh, it went up there. So it didn't work the first time, but then I asked it to please fix its issues, and then it fixed it, and it actually works. So I can eat these little balls from here, and I believe that I am getting longer. No, I think I'm not getting longer. Am I? Yes, I am getting longer. Oh, and when I hit myself, it starts over, so now I'm a short worm again. And then the next thing I did is I made this product search program in PHP. So if I go into there, demos, product search, and I open localhost 8021, and I open this, then I have this product search here. So I can search for some products. I can say product 4, and it will just filter out the products. And these are actually in a CSV file as well, but I don't have the add product in this version. But the cool thing about this thing is that I can actually just copy all of these, and I can go to my inventory, delete these, and I can paste these in here. And then what I can do is I can run the GPT-AutoPilot again, and I can say add a form for adding a new product to my product search tool. So now it will actually read, okay, we have this style.css, product.csv, index.php here, and then it will read the files and see what's going on in this project, and then it will make changes. So now you can see it actually added an add product.php here. So let's see if this works. So I have to start the server again. Code, phps, localhost 8082, already in use 8075. And now we have a form to add new products. So let's see if this actually works. So I say test product, and price is 500, and submit, and we have an error. So it says that uncaught value error, array combine must have the same number of elements. So this is actually a thing that maybe I could fix in my code, because the problem is that when this creates a new file, it doesn't add a new line in the end. So that means the next time when we append to it, we will append to the end of the last line. So I should fix this so that when the AutoPilot creates a new file, then it will actually add a new line in the end. So if I save this manually now, it probably will work. And here we have our test product. So now we can actually add products here. And if you search for test, then we get our test product here. So let's look at the next example. Do I have something else here? So here is a game that I created. So this is actually multiple files here. And there's a reason why it's multiple files. Because if you ask it to create a larger thing that involves like a one big file, then it often adds like just comments there to say something like implement something here, implement collision, implement platform detection and stuff like that. But if I tell it to create files that are less than 100 lines long, then it actually works. Now this again, I had to do multiple iterations before it actually worked. But let me show you how this works. It's not amazing, but let's do xdg open demos jumper improved index.html. So here we have this jumping game that sometimes I just fall out of the thing, but I can jump with the space bar. Let me zoom in a little bit so I don't scroll when I hit the space bar. So I can jump with this and I can do all kinds of things. Now when I get here I get stuck, but when it happens to go on a platform, then I can jump to another platform and I can collect these yellow things, and again I fall down. So it actually works. Now it's not amazing, but this took me like 5 minutes to create, so in that sense it is pretty amazing. And do we have something else? Here I have some sort of website, yes. So let's do that as well. So let's do cd demos code buck2 and do phps localhost 7654. And let's open this. And here we have welcome to Mike's Car Repair, your trusted auto repair shop. So I actually created this whole website with this. So we have a services section, which has some text on it, and we have a contact form, and this actually works. Now it doesn't work on localhost because it uses the mail function, but if you go to sendmail.php, then here we are actually using the mail function to send an email. So I actually have the prompts.txt here, where I have the prompt. So this is the prompt that I used to create that car repair service website. So I did it in one prompt. So let's actually try this out. So let's go here, and where am I right now? Let's go back and let's run GPT-AutoPilot, and I will just paste this here. I want to do this. And then we just sit back, relax, and see what happens. Oh, actually I forgot to delete the files, so it's actually deleting all my files from there. So you can see here now that it's writing to index.php and home.php and services.php and contact.php and sendmail.php. And then we are adding some styling and it's done. So let's run this. Do I have a server running there already? Yes. So 87.5. And here we have Mike's Car Repair, operating since 1985. And we have services here, airbag replacement. We specialize in airbag replacement. And we have a contact form, get in touch. And we have name, email, and message, and submit. Now granted, this is not a very beautiful website, but it's a website. And if we go take a look at how it did this, then here we have index.php. And we have all the pages here. And then we get the page from the get parameter. And if we don't have the page, we go to home page. That's interesting. And then we have a menu here. We just loop through all the pages and add them to the menu. And then we include the page. Okay. And in our contact form, we are actually posting to sendmail.php. And if we open that one, then we are actually sending a mail to mikescarrepair.com. This is not my domain. I just made it up. So it works. And if we go and take a look at our prompts again, let's see if I have something interesting here. So here's how I created the snake game. So I said, create a JavaScript snake game for the browser. And then it didn't work, and I checked the dev tools, and then I said, can you fix my snake game? It says player not defined. And then it asked me, could you please clarify where exactly you're getting the player not defined error? Is it in any specific part of your game procedure? And I said, I can see it in the Chrome dev tools when I open index.html. And then it fixed it, and then it worked. Then I tried to create the game, the platform jumping game, but it didn't work. But then I did some more prompting. So I gave this prompt, and I added this separate parts of the game in separate files so that no file is more than 100 lines long. And then I had to add all of these prompts so that it actually worked. And then here's how I created that product search tool. So I said, create a web page in PHP and JavaScript that has a list of products with names and prices, and there's a search box that automatically filters the list of products. The products should come from a file called products.csv. Create a sample products.csv file with 10 dummy products and prices. The product list on the web page should be a table with a header. And then it created these things, and then I asked it to create the form to add the product. Actually, I forgot to save this one. And then I actually got this error that I got last time too, and then I asked it to fix it again. And then ultimately I got it to work by just prompting it. So if you want to use this program, you can find it on my GitHub page. You can just download it and you can run it and you can create magnificent creations with it. Let me know in the comments what you created. And make sure to subscribe to my channel if you want to see more videos about this project in the future. And at least click like on this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.